guys? I'm taking you for a walk in my favourite forest, which happens to be right outside my home as well. Can you believe this is London? Like, it's crazy. So I'm gonna find a seat. We're gonna talk about how to stop overthinking. All right, so we found a good little spot here. So here we are. Show around. Okay, guys. So a bit of a different video today, but one that I'm hoping what I share with you that if you're an overthinker, like I have been pretty much my entire life, then there's 1-2 steps that I can share with you, and maybe it can make a bit of a positive impact in your life too. To start with a little bit of my story, although a lot of people won't realize it, I've been a huge overthinker throughout my life. People are always like, Pete, you're really confident in how you take action, but that doesn't mean that I've not overthought or worried and then got into like a bout of negativity or anxiety or whatever it is. And then I started to identify a familiar pattern, which was none of it freaking helped. Like all the overthinking, all the worrying about the worrying, it just really became this descending spiral anytime that I would get in that frame of mind. And what I noticed is that, and this was really, really cool to realize this, was that it was actually nothing to do with like the circumstance or the situation, because I would get through that situation and then something else would come up like straight away after, and I was like, wow, this is really cyclical, and it doesn't matter if that environment gets better. So that was kind of cool, because what it made me identify was that the problem wasn't outside of me, or like the problem wasn't like what I was going through. It was actually just a habit that I got into. And we don't really need to go into the psychology, but the basics are that the mind is set up to run programs based upon familiarity. Like we want to do the familiar, and the mind will do the familiar because it protects you, right? But let's say you had a situation in your life where you needed to worry, you needed to have a little bit of anxiety because it was a pretty bad situation. But then without realizing, what you did is in that time you programmed anxiety, you programmed overthinking into your mind. And so then you start going to that program for everything. It's like, you overthink what to have for lunch. You overthink what somebody else thinks of you. You overthink the decisions in your business. And so realizing that for myself, that it wasn't actually the situation that was making me overthink, it was my overthinking that was the actual issue. And then it allowed me to take on a different approach, and this is really what I want to share in this video. That how did I get through it? Well, it was going, okay, well, when my overthinking is peaked, what can I do what's the familiar thing that I would do previously, maybe unconsciously, to break through it? And it came down to taking action, knowing that you're not always able to like lock in and do something cognitive. So maybe you've got a lot of work on. The best thing you can do is actually do something physical. So step away, go for a jog, do yoga, or vice versa. If you're like procrastinating or overthinking like how you feel about your body, then it might be an idea to do some meditation. So just working with the two. And this is I say always, but since I started doing this, I've been a lot more productive. But you need to know that the anxiety, the overthinking, it's not serving you. And the cool thing is as well is that you can start to look at real life examples. And what I mean by this is that you take every business that succeeded, they didn't start with that incredible business. If you take Facebook, the first version of Facebook was called The Facebook, and it's made numerous improvements over the years and they continue to improve every single day. The same with Google, the same with your smartphone. I mean, every few months we need an update on our smartphone. I started to take this metaphor or philosophy and I installed it into my own life, that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to put the perfect YouTube video out straight away. You don't have to set up the perfect business and get the perfect customer right away, because all of that is going to result in you overthinking and paralyzing you from taking any action. You're far better taking imperfect action in life. And I'm not saying you just react and just do things for the sake of it, but you're far better off in taking action, and that will allow you to break through your overthinking. Like every time I overthink, I switch it up. Like I go for a walk, or I I take my journal and I take notes on what I need to do. I have a whiteboard in my home. I actually have 2 whiteboards in my home. But I go to the whiteboard and I'm like, I say to my girlfriend, you shouldn't use your girlfriend as a soundboard, but she runs my business with me. And I'm like, okay, Jamie, what do we need to do over the next 24 hours to be super successful? And we just come up with a list, and then we're like, bang, and then we just power through that. And by doing this, it's just been a game changer for how I feel about myself, for my confidence, for just life in general. And all these small tips can make a big difference for you too. But predominantly, it's just knowing that overthinking is not serving you and having that self-awareness. And it does take a lot of self-awareness to catch yourself in that time where you're overthinking, and just switch and do something more positive in that moment and start to create those micro habits of serving behaviors instead of going through the behavior of overthinking, which creates all those non-serving and almost self-sabotaging behaviors. I know you're here because you're aware that maybe you overthink, and yeah, if you're aware that you overthink already, that means you'll be able to catch yourself next time you're overthinking, and then just create those habits, and you got this, you'll be fine. And make sure you check out my next YouTube video. So I'll see you there. Thanks.